So let's start from the Parliament, because on Wednesday the President delivered a State of the Nation address where he responded to the criticism of his government borrowing excessively. He says they did not borrow excessively and they used the money judiciously. He also waded into the whole vaccine shortage. You remember in the past few weeks we've been reporting about the vaccine shortage throughout the country, where babies are not able to get access to very vital vaccines. The President has been addressing all of these concerns in his latest State of the Nation address.
President Kojo has been taking aim at the Auditor General's audit of COVID-19 funds, which exposed some irregularities. The President says no wrong was occasioned by his government.
It is precisely because the economic fallout from the pandemic is so widespread and long-lasting that it is important to show clearly that the COVID-19 funds were not misused. It is critical that we do not lose the confidence of the people that a crisis that they were led to believe we were all in together was abused for personal gain. Mr. Speaker, it was government that asked for the COVID funds to be audited. And I can assure this House that nothing dishonorable was done with the COVID funds.
According to the President, the economy has challenges, but that is not the making of his government.
I've said, and many others, including the Managing Director of the IMF, have said that our economy was doing well until COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine. Was doing well until COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine took us off course.
The President also defended his government's record in defending the freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech has now reached such heights that even members of the diplomatic corps feel able to join in our national discourse and pronounce on matters that will be problematic for Ghanaian diplomats in their countries of origin.
Leaders on both sides of the House had this to say after President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address.
Mr. Speaker, as you said, we are going to have ample time to debate the content as presented to us. But clearly, what we have seen is symptomatic of what we are going to say from tomorrow. We have made up our minds. Don't convince us with facts.
Millions of Ghanaians are going through unbearable hardships and excruciating pains. Our economy is in its worst shape in decades. In fact, Ghana's economy is bankrupt or insolvent. We are currently unable to repay our debt. Ghana has officially defaulted in the repayment of our debt since January 2022.
There are those who say that they expected President Akufo-Addo to speak about assignment and what happened there. The President did not. Of course, one big issue that is currently happening is the matter of vaccines. The President did speak about vaccines. He said that the government is working around the clock to procure enough vaccines to deal with the current shortage. But there are those who still say that the President did not deliver a true message on the state of the nation. The jury is still out there. Of course, the political parties, the caucuses here in Parliament are divided along political party lines as usual, but the jury is still out there. For you viewers, for you ordinary Ghanaians, what is your own verdict on the state of the nation and the message delivered today? Reporting for JoyNews, Kojo Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now, some members of Parliament have been reacting to the President's State of the Nation address.
The President has given the assurance that he knows that there are challenges, but starting from the first term of his as a president, he exposed the achievements of what he's done in terms of the health sector, the educational sector, the road sector, and all these achievements have never been achieved in the Fourth Republic. So we must appreciate the President's commitment to saying that he has done a lot. But if today times have become difficult, it doesn't mean that he's not done anything. And him accepting that obviously times will be better, meaning that he's a president who accepts criticism and ready to reposition. He has given hope because he's saying that we have done it before. We took the IMF from John Mahama when he was when we took over. The president and the team and the economic management team and the vice president returned us back from IMF. Today, the president has exposed the involvement of the vice president, Dr. Baumia, the electronic Baumia, by having a vaccine in the drone center across the world. This is an innovation. This is very, very critical.
He summarized it and said that things are improving. That is a humble acknowledgement of the difficulties we are going through as a nation. And as president, number one person in the country, and he admitted it, that is a show of humility, that things are improving. And that for me is a significant statement from the president.
The president spoke about a COVID-19 audit and said that he did not think that anything wrong has been done so far. There's been sufficient answers. As a member of parliament, are you satisfied with that? I
am totally satisfied. Where people have evidence, he who alleges must prove. People have evidence that there has been untoward spending and been excessive spending. People should come up with evidence. It's high time we go beyond hearsays. People should come with evidence, and I think we can make progress.
Appalled at the president's continuous refusal to take responsibility for the mess we are in. He's still blaming COVID. He's still blaming Russia, Ukraine. I mean, look, enough of taking the people of this country for granted. Leadership requires that you take responsibility. This continuous reliance on global phenomenon when other countries are not in the mess that we find ourselves in. We are the only country going through a debt restructuring program. The only country that cannot pay pensioner bondholders. Look at what they had to go through.
It's obvious that the minority, whoever says the president did not say anything, perhaps was not paying attention or perhaps was dozing off. Otherwise, you wouldn't say the president has not said anything. I will entreat them to go for the script and take a time to read through the script, and they will know the president had indeed made statements that are pertinent to the state of our economy as it is today. He's talking about vaccines. The president has said steps are underway, that in a couple of weeks, the vaccines will be delivered. He even went on to say this August House has passed a bill for vaccine to be manufactured in this country.
The president was very candid to the country. He was absolutely candid to the country, and there was a lot of clarity of thoughts and vision. And he gave a very clear background as to where we've come from all this while and where we are and where he, in his estimation, we're going to take the country to. When you are leader of a country, as he is, first of all, what you require is candor, is to be candid to the people, to tell the people the truth, to be transparent and to be accountable to the people. I think that first ingredient in the president's speech was absolutely encouraging, that he told the people as it is.
I believe that this particular State of the Nation address was truthful. His Excellency was honest about the issues, and I'll tell you why. He made mention of the fact that from 2017 to 2020, Ghana's economy was one that was robust. It's an economy, or it was an economy, that was one of the fastest growing economies across the globe. No doubt about that. You remember in 2017, if you check the economic fundamentals, you realize that inflation was doing about 15.4%.
Well, let's still stay in Parliament, because some members of the Parliament of the NDC minority side are backing directive of the party that they should forget about traveling and stay in Parliament to defend the democracy of the country. Now, the NDC has directed a suspension of campaigning constituencies where they have certain MPs so that the MPs can concentrate on their work in Parliament. We're just about 3 weeks for Parliament to go on the Easter break. A number of crucial business, including the controversial ECCI and approval of ministerial nominees, are high on the agenda. The MPs say they will stay back and fight for Ghana's democracy.
When we are on break, we can work in our constituencies. Currently, we have serious businesses on the floor. as a whip, I'm struggling to whip my colleagues to be in the chamber and to prosecute government business. The way to do it is to make it easier for colleagues to stay in the chamber. The party feels the way to do it is to stop some of the disturbances in their backyard so that they can focus on the work here. And when we go on recess, then we can all go back and do whatever is required.
Yeah, suspended campaigns. It appears there's something big that the party is expecting to happen on the floor. What big issues are coming up?
Nothing big, just to make sure that members of parliament, as elected, remain on the floor and do what is required of members of parliament.
We call it what? Operation Save Democracy. So our democracy is under threat with an electoral commission that is rogue, that has gone rogue, and an electoral commissioner who has become a teen god and thinks that she's the best thing to happen to Ghanaians since Ben's bread, and who thinks that she can run riots in this country and do whatever she wants because she has the blessings of a president who is ruling like a despot. But Parliament remains the last bastion of democracy, and the minority in Parliament remains the last hope in that bastion of democracy. And so we are going to sacrifice our campaigns as members of Parliament for our re-election in our party to ensure that there is actually a democracy come 2024. I was out of the country. I was summoned back. I am back. I cut short my trip. I am back. And I'm coming to be in this chamber to ensure that whatever it takes, hell or high water, we will bring the Electoral Commission and the commissioners from their high horses and give them an education in the Chamber of Parliament.
I believe strongly that it's because of the CI. Remember that we need the numbers. Remember also that the ministerial nominees, remember the Appointments Committee report is outstanding. We have to take a vote on them. We have taken a decision that the president must cut down, and that's one of the things that I'm disappointed I didn't hear him talk about, reducing the size of government. You heard the German ambassador. And as ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, let me say that I'm disappointed that the president took a swipe at the diplomatic community.
People have a saying that if you see somebody pounding fufu and is armed with bow and arrows, it means he has ever pounded the fufu and somebody has taken it away. It's a signal to tell you that it's ready for whoever is that intruder or the person who takes away his liberty. My brother, we are prepared to stay in this chamber, and like he said, rain or shine, and ensure that if they attempt to usurp the fundamental and inalienable rights of the people of Ghana, we will be there to fight all the way. Constitutional, legal, political, enemies. And mark my words, we are saying enemies in this chamber, to make sure that nothing obnoxious will be allowed to pass through the house that will deprive the people and disenfranchise any Ghanaian, because we will not allow that to happen.
Now, joining us on Zoom is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Foyo Gbande, and also political science lecturer, Dr. Kwame Asa Asante. Good morning to you, gentlemen. I'm grateful that you could join us. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Gbande. Why has it become necessary for the party to give such a directive at this time? Mr. Gbande, if you are speaking, you might want to unmute for us so we can hear what you're telling us. Hello, Mr. Gbande. I want to understand from you why the need for such a directive at this time?
A call to duty, a call to protect the democracy of Ghana, a call to defend the abuse of fundamental human rights of Ghanaians.
Okay.
A call to hold government accountable, because it is so clear that the Nana-Addo-led government is in the business of taking the rights of Ghanaians for granted, is in the business of colluding with the Electoral Commission to try to perpetrate heinous illegalities against the Constitution of Ghana. And as political parties, we have a role to play in terms of defending and protecting the democracy of Ghana. And so same are the reasons why we believe that we must put one, party interests below national interests. So we are calling on members of parliament to stage a role of gatekeepers to ensure that the government does not smuggle CIs and other issues that are offensive to the rights and the welfare of this country.
But aren't you interfering too much in the work of an MP who is supposed to be representing his or her constituent and not necessarily the political party he or she belongs to?
Well, I believe that one of the major pillars of our democracy has to do with the role of political parties. And as a political party, our business is to protect the interests of Ghanaians. What we are talking about is not just about the NDC. We are talking about the president, government, and the Electoral Commission breaching articles of the Constitution. That is a fundamental document that protects and guides this country. And that is what we are talking about. Should we allow a government to seemingly apply some portions of the Constitution when it is convenient and disregard some when it is also convenient for their political expedience? I think that we will be running a country that is not rooted in the fundamental principles of rule of law. We are talking about an Electoral Commission that is seeking to alienate, or if you call it disenfranchised Ghanaians from participating in their fundamental of civic duties to this country. The Constitution states clearly in Article 42 that once you are 18 years, you ought and you are entitled to register as a voter and to participate in a voting process. The Constitution also states clearly in Article 45E that the Electoral Commissioner shall undertake programs to expand the voters' register and not to contrast. In other words, in accordance with the population growth of this country. The Constitution also states in Article 35C that government must take steps to make sure that the people of Ghana has reasonable and just access to public programs and services. The issue of the national identification card is one that is a public service because it's a document that is not only used for voting, it is used for businesses in this country. You cannot register a business if you don't have a Ghana card. You cannot open an account if you don't have a Ghana card. Now, if you go to offices of the National Identification Authority, they are not working. They cannot produce your ID card. And so if you come up and say that we should hurriedly join the queue to ensure that once you do not have a Ghana card, both political parties should join and declare you a non-citizen. We think that is a fundamental breach of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
All right, grateful. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante here. Doc, doesn't this amount to too much controlling of Parliament or specifically MPs by the party they belong to?
I'm not sure that's the case.
Okay.
Political parties always work in the interest of their country, and that if there is something that will affect the party, and for that matter, the country at large, they are quick to respond to the occasion. And let us remember that by their action, they gauge the mood of society. They know what society wants, and they put our views together, what we call interest aggregation. Once they put our interests together, they're able to gauge our interests and put them together. We call it interest aggregation. And then when they are done, they do what we call interest articulation. They articulate our views clearly. So that's exactly what they are doing. And it's in their interest to do, because this is what political parties ought to do. Any other thing is an aberration or a misnomer. So I want them to be able to do the bidding of us by, representing us in Parliament. We have put them there. Let us remember that we are operating a representative democracy. That you and I, the population of 30-something million, we can all be in Parliament as it pertains in Athens in ancient time. But that a fraction, a section will represent us. So they represent what? They are our interests, our aspirations, and our needs. And that is why we put them there. So that is what exactly they are doing. I commend them for that posture. They need to do that at all times, not today. And that when they slip, we will come back and attack them.
All right. Grateful to you, gentlemen, for joining us with your thoughts this morning. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political science lecturer with the University of Ghana. And also, Foyo Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. Let me take you back to Parliament because government says getting vaccines for babies is the topmost priority and is being treated as an emergency. Now, President Akufo-Addo waded into the vaccine shortage crisis while delivering his State of the Nation address on Wednesday in Parliament. Now, the President alluded to the severity of the problem, insisting that steps are being taken to resolve it. It comes after hospitals nationwide reported a vaccine shortage and for the lack of vaccines, forcing them to return babies who had come for short. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu earlier indicated that they are working to get the vaccines, but was unclear about the specific timelines.
We have had some vaccine shortages in the country since the last quarter of 2022. The vaccines in short supply are BCG, measles, rubella, and oral polio vaccine, OPV. This shortage is nationwide. The recent shortage in vaccines for measles, as regrettably as it is symptomatic of the steady global decline in measles vaccination since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And permit me to quote from a WHO recent publication on the subject that puts the challenge we are dealing with into perspective. And I will quote: measles vaccination coverage has steadily declined since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, a record high of nearly 40 million children missed a measles vaccine dose. 25 million children missed their first dose, and an additional 14.7 million children missed their second dose. A joint publication by the World Health Organization and the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports. This decline is a significant setback in global progress towards achieving and maintaining measles elimination and leaves millions of children susceptible to infection. And Ghana's Minister of Health has been making efforts to ensure we secure adequate stocks of vaccines despite this global challenge. We have made all necessary efforts to ensure that despite these challenges, we secure adequate stocks within the next few weeks. It is important to correct the erroneous impression that there have been deaths from measles in Ghana recently, for the avoidance of doubt.
In the State of the Nation address in Parliament Wednesday, the President admitted he was worried about the situation but could not give specific timelines. He, however, assured the government is prioritizing acquisition of the vaccines.
The current shortage of some childhood vaccines in the country has concerned me greatly. This shortage, if prolonged, will affect negatively Ghana's childhood immunization program, which has been recognized as one of the most successful in the world. The WHO has only recently expressed worry about a steady decline in measles vaccination coverage globally because of the concentration on the fight against COVID-19. In accordance with our desire not to become part of this global trend, government has taken steps to ensure the stocks of these vaccines are procured and supplied as a matter of urgency and emergency. The Ghana Health Service has developed an elaborate program to catch up on children who have missed their vaccine immediately stocks arrive. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage all parents and caregivers to ensure that eligible children are vaccinated once this program begins. No child should be denied access to vaccination.
Meanwhile, pharmacist and CDD fellow Dr. Kwame Sapon-Asiedu has blamed the shortage of the vaccines on lack of planning and commitment by government.
It's not like the the Ministry of Finance releases the money in bulk to the Ministry of Health. It comes in small quantities. So anytime they get the money, we are losing anyway when we are going to pay the people who are supplying us with the vaccines. So we cannot buy the amount of vaccines we projected to buy. That's the first thing. The second thing is, because these manufacturers projected slightly lower and other countries have put in bids, when you go, originally what they used to do was, when they do their projections to manufacture, they would put what we call an average on it. That's a small quantity just in case uptake goes higher. In that case, if a country says bits late and comes in for supplies, they have some stock that they can give you. On this occasion, they've not done that because the trend is going downwards. So they are erring on the side of caution in manufacture. And that is why you hear the health minister say in the next few weeks. If you remember when this started, they said it will be sorted in 2 weeks. Now they're saying in the next few weeks because the manufacturers cannot give them an accurate timeline because their manufacturer is to people who have already placed their orders.
Now let's take you to Ashaiman now, because the Ministry of Defense is apologizing for the military brutalities and assault meted out to civilians at Ashaiman, but says it will not apologize for the operation itself, which resulted in the arrest of some 184 suspects of the killing of a 21-year-old soldier, Imoro Sharif. Now, speaking on PM Express, Deputy Defense Minister Kofi Amankwa-Manu said it is regrettable that some residents were caught up in the melee, but says there will be no apology for the operation. We'll hear from the minister in a moment, but first, I was in Ashaiman to try and gauge the mood, and this is what my cameras captured.
In multiple viral videos, soldiers are seen beating some persons said to be resident of Ashaiman. In one of such videos, 5 persons are lying in a pool of water. A soldier with a gun hanging around his waist wields a stick and walks around them. One of the persons in the water attempts to rise up and is immediately hit with a stick. 2 others who also try to stand up receive beating as well. At Ashaiman official town, I meet some residents who say they were picked up from their homes and beaten.
So this dawn, I was just indoor when a lady in my house shouted, "Obin Jimmy." So we came out, tried to find out what is happening. So immediately we came out, gun is being pointed at us, and they asked us to lie down. So we asked, in the process of lying down, they start hitting us with wire, wood log, and metallics and stuff. From there, they march us from the house to the street, to sleep on the street, to roll. In the process of rolling too, they are hitting us, and they send us to a T-junction at the top here. That's where we went and met a lot of men are being kept there. So we were asked to do arm pressing and stuff, roll on the floor. On the process of doing all those things, they use a metallic. I don't know what sort of metallic is that, and they use it to hit my arm in the process of doing the press up. So as you can see, there's a swelling aspect of my arm than this one. And even if you look at my back too, there's a little. By then I was wearing shirt, so it wasn't serious at that point in time.
Oh, so yeah. Those are the marks?
Yeah, those are the marks. We were indoor. This man and I, and the third person is in right now. I don't know what is happening to it. Because by the third person is not wearing anything, only boxer. Only boxers is wearing, so their own is much terrible than mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were not told anything, you weren't told what you've done?
So as we lie down, they are brutalizing us. The question they are asking, who asked you to kill the military man? And I was like, I don't know what they are talking about. I know nothing about what they were saying. So they even used PVC pipe to hit my head. Wow. And it broke into 2.
Then I heard my door knock. So I wake up and I opened the door. I did not see anybody. So I opened the trap door. Then I get out. So when I get outside, then I couldn't see anybody. Before I know there was a military man standing there. And when I saw these people were lying on the day, then they said I should come. So the time he knocked the door, he go and hide so that you will not see her. So then they said I should come. So they said, what am I doing here? So I am working here. I'm working with this company. And they did not even allow me to say anything. They started beating us. Beat us, let us roll on the ground from the house. Then they brought us here, 3 of us. Then we came and met one of the guys too. Then they marched us to that side. They beat us, let us do the exercise, even our head and our neck, that we get mine and kill military man. We get mine and kill military man. So I was bare-chested like this, and they said, oh, then you get body too, and see what they have done too. If I remove this visual, my head and my neck off. So, my head and my neck off. You see. So actually, we don't even know anything about this. It was even raining. If you see the way they treat us in this, beating us left and right with metals and ropes.
3 of your children have been taken away.
Yes, please.
What were you told?
Well, around 5:30 at dawn, I went to funeral at my village, Ziaviho. So the eldest one called me that, Daddy, the soldiers have come. They were banging the gate. Where are you? And I told, we have not yet come. He said, no, they are banging the gate. They are first opening it. We said, don't worry, we'll see what we can do. Just before then, he said, they have entered the house. They have gotten into my room. I said, what is happening? He said, then we are hearing the banging. Bah, bah, bah. Ah! Before we realize we cannot hear from female. When we call, the phone is not going. We don't know what's happened. So we have to call neighbors. We call neighbors to see what is going on. Eventually, I realized that 3 of them has been forcibly taken. And armed civilians. What crime have they committed? We don't know. So I have to leave whatever I'm doing to rush down. Right now, I'm coming, and then this is where you are meeting me in the house. They first opened 5 of the doors. Used a catapult to break some of the louver frames and the glasses. Yes, and then broken all the levers around. A lot of things have been it's haphazard in the house. They were 4. One of them managed to escape with bruises. You have seen it yourself.
The military has in a statement indicated its high command sanctioned the operation. The statement says the trooper is originally stationed at Sunyani, but was in Accra for a cause and had sought permission to visit his family at Ashaiman. His mother says she waited for hours for her son, but he never showed up.
When I saw the picture, I knew it was my son. So I shouted and started demanding answers. I was asked to calm down. I was later told he had been killed at Ashaiman. It was difficult for me because he is a calm person. I cried for several hours. I later heard he struggled with them and knocked on doors, asking for help, but got no help. I am told he kept shouting that he is not a thief, but they didn't leave him alone, and no one helped him.
Sheriff's uncle, Abdurrahman.
That, what I could get from the community. The mother is in such a devastated state. But my colleague, Maxwell Agbagba, is in Ashaiman now and joins us with more. So, Maxwell, take it away from me now and let us understand what's happening in Ashaiman where you are.
I was subjected to military brutality some days ago. A press conference just ended about 30 minutes ago here. We have the Member of Parliament, Ernest Nogbe, addressing the press, and then some other opinion leaders also addressing the press. One thing that is clear from the residents here at Ashaiman Taifa is that they're going to explore all legal options available to them to seek justice and also demand compensation. That press conference has ended here, but we have scores of residents, still gathered here discussing what happened to them some days ago. Many of them have been telling me about how mayhem reigned on them here some days ago, and many of the people here have been showing us the assault marks on their backs and other parts of their bodies. I have 2 gentlemen here I'll be talking to right about now. I also have another lady here. That quite a number of young men were taken away from this community. We are told that some of them have been released whilst others are still being screened. Now, this woman here who's standing here with me says that ever since her husband was taken away, she's not heard anything from her husband, and now she is worried that something terrible possibly has happened to her husband. Let's speak to her I'll be talking to you shortly, so be here for me. Let's talk to her. Hi, what's your name, madam?
Pacho, your family Beatrice.
Beatrice, Obani Ana.
Pacho and me bani.
Okay. Wukunu dabena omudi wukunu koe.
Pacho, and any 3 days amudi mi kunu koe. Friday na semuni siya kana mi kunu ni around or sorry or by Saturday 2 o'clock.
Okay, well, she says that the incident happened on Friday. Friday when the incident happened, her husband was not at home. He had gone to church and then returned on Saturday, we say.
Saturday 2 o'clock no by.
Saturday 2 o'clock no by. Came back home at Saturday 2 o'clock in the morning and upon area. Saturday in the afternoon, okay.
Tuesday na assembly see no no po no nim say bibi because we want into oko private na mu chi no into ni poba pa ha na me be hu ni poba na me hu ni brush or the pese we abonti.
He says, well, she says on Tuesday when the military stormed this community, her husband had stepped out to attend to nature's call. At the point when he stepped out, that was when he was picked up by the military. She says she came out and then saw the toothbrush that he was using outside, right outside, and then his slippers also outside here. And from Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then Thursday, what's the one thing?
Pacho mintin kan like one frame into 3 days ni akwala no po ne hu mfa no 3 days ni ono na okoba ansa na ye didi 3 days ni me nya ndidi ye minis kan so amedi akwala ni be call hospital.
Oh, she's very distressed. She says that since the husband was picked up by the military on Tuesday, she's not had anything from him. She says that her child is sick. She's unable to take the little girl to the hospital because she does not have money to do that. Since Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Pacho
muso mu hunu wo ho ba no ankasa no de won frame ye ba mi bisa nkofo na mo ba omu ko ho no mo ba ne de muso mu hunu wo ho ama ni nan po apra ni simba ku ni ha say ya hu no ntimi nanti papa.
Well, she says personally she's not had anything from her husband, but she says for those who were with him, who were arrested together with him, they said they saw him with a swollen cheek and also injured, has a leg injury also, but she has not had anything, from the husband. Where did
Pacho, ye didi oni ho onu na ko bansa na ye didi like miniska minye juma miniska onu na ko bansa na di bibia ni ho fiti anopa mi didi ye 3 days ni mi didi ye okomu di mi ba miniska me didi ho ache like oni ho ache na me kwa ansa na me ma miniska me didi mini obia this onupe na ko bansa na ye didi.
Well, she says her husband is a breadwinner of the family, and he provides for the family. She says for days now, since he was taken away, she has not eaten. Her child also, it's very difficult for them to buy something to eat because the husband is a breadwinner of the family, and now they do not know how to cope financially. They're unable to cope as a result of this. And just to see how. Pacho
de me catch on musemi pomucho mi kunu no ne masem no ho hwi omunja no no mbrefi onu na be hwe wamba minya ska fa ankola ni ko hospital nti mi pomucho munja no no mbra ye fa ni hope pochu pacho mu jan mami wa mi pomucho.
Well, she says the husband is Hope Kojo, and she's saying that the husband is innocent. He doesn't really have an idea what exactly happened. Like she stated earlier, husband was away in church when the incident happened, came back on Saturday afternoon. So he's innocent. He's appealing to authorities to make sure that her husband is brought back safely. But let's speak to another gentleman. I've been speaking to him earlier. He tells me that the military men actually jumped this wall, forcibly entered his house, broke down his door, and then forcibly entered his room. Tell me, how scary was that for you?
Oh, it was a great scare, because when they came, they were first invading into the house by knocking the main gate. They knocked the gate severally. Nobody came out. So with that response, they tried to jump over the wall. When they jumped over the wall, there are extra gates to the to the rooms. So they break the rooms and entered. So in entering, they break about 6 trapdoors. because when you are about to sleep at night, you can't lock the main doors. We all lock the trap doors. So they broke all our trap doors, picked 4 gentlemen out, and they started brutalizing us outside. They drove us up like a military man, whilst we are a civilian. Beat us up from 3 a.m. right to 8 a.m. And we were taken to Michelle camp. After when we were taken to Michelle camp, they were not doing anything, no investigation, but they went back to Tulaku to invade about 140 people and brought back and add up to us. After a while, we were taken back to Bema camp, and at Bema camp, it wasn't an easy task. We went through a lot of hell.
So you were beaten at Michelle camp, and then later you were taken to Bema camp. There they continued. You were not beaten at Michelle camp.
We were just there waiting for an investigation. But after that, we were taken to Bema camp. They said they heard that the commander said they should bring us to Bema camp for the investigation. So they took us from Michelle camp to Bema camp at 4 p.m. So we got to Bema camp. When we got to Bema camp, that was when some soldiers were around and we were beaten.
So you were beaten at Bema camp?
Yes, we were beaten.
But not at Michelle camp?
No, we were beaten at Bema camp, trained well. They say they'll train us to be a soldier. And we were beaten all our bodies, all over, from head to toe. All of our body were.
What did they use to beat you?
Oh, rod, rulers, stripes of warriors, sticks, broom sticks, and a lot, anything they can see at the advantage point was using.
To beat you?
Yes, please.
And what was their reason? What was the reason they gave you?
Oh, the reason they gave was that when the military man was crying for help, we, the community and the neighbor people, even was not ready to assist him. So even they are the people that are defending us. Why can't we also defend their neighbor?
Wow. Earlier you demonstrated to me what the exercises that you were made to do. So early they picked you up at 3 a.m. you say?
Yes, please.
And then you were brought back at what time? What time did they release you?
We got here 11 p.m. 11
p.m.
Yes, please.
And you were telling me that when you were going, you had no clothes and...
Yes, we were all in a boxer short with no dress, no up, only the boxer short. At dawn, I was not wearing singlet. So when I got out of the room, I put on a singlet. Yeah. So when we got outside, they said we should take off our singlet. So I took off my singlet from here. So I was naked with only boxer short from here to Bema camp, in and out. And when they brought us from Bema camp, we were left at Tulaku roundabout to walk from Tulaku roundabout to official town, which is not improper because we are not having any cash on us, which can transport ourselves from Tulaku back to our residence.
So all of you were just in boxer shorts, you said?
Yes, please.
All of you were in boxer shorts?
Yes, please.
And around 11 p.m., yes. So what did you do? Did you walk from Tulaku to your residence?
Yes. Oh, we never trekked because some of us were on phone by then. So we used our phone to call some of our siblings by then. Yeah. And those who were not on phone, we begged our neighbors or our colleagues who were on phone to use it to call our siblings. So we were picked up at the roadside by some of our neighbors and we were brought home.
You were in boxer shorts?
Yes, we were in boxer shorts.
And you still have some assault marks behind you. You tell me that from here you're going to the police station.
Yes, please.
What is going to happen at the police station?
Oh, I just went and picked a medical report. Okay. Because I was treated by a doctor, so I have to report back to the doctor.
Okay. Yeah. You were part of the organizers of the press conference that ended some minutes ago. What are your demands?
Oh, for sure, our demands are some compensations. Our demands are compensations because we are innocent and victim. We are innocent souls of the victimized victim. Moreover, some are been detained, and our reason is that those that are detained are also an innocent soul, and they must be released with an immediate effect because they know nothing of that nature.
So you're still watching the Joy News desk here on the JoyNews channel. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Now, in the spirit of International Women's Day ride-hailing service, Yango has reiterated its commitment to supporting female drivers on its app. Here's more in this report.
As part of efforts to mark International Women's Day, Yango said it will lead the campaign to empower women take up male-dominated roles. The move, which is part of the company's commitment to reduce the unemployment rate among women, is also meant to break the bias by encouraging more women to sign up as drivers on their app. Sophia Sylvie is partner success manager at Yango Ghana.
What men can do, women can do better. This is much enough to bring all women on board, or more women on board to drive. And I also believe that, looking from my experience, we had a very interesting experience on Independence Day where we drove as drivers. For me, I had a first-hand experience where I picked a few riders and I saw the excitement on their faces. People are not... it's rare for you to find a female driver. So when the rider comes into the car and sees that it's a female driver, they are so excited. They give you tip, they push you to do more. And this is interesting. And I feel like we should have more women do this.
Radio and TV personality Anita Akufu called for businesses to make a concerted effort in creating opportunities for women.
So far, we've done quite well, but I think there's more we can do when it comes to getting women either to be in politics, to hold powerful positions, all spheres of life. And so there's more we can do as a country. And this is also one of the steps that we are taking, especially when it comes to companies like these, getting women on board. And so I believe there's more we can do. Women are capable. Let's give them the chance.
Some of the female drivers commended Yango and called for more of such opportunities.
It's mind-blowing, networking, making friends, getting tips, there's a lot of experience. Sometimes you even take people outside our car.
The event was attended by some female drivers and it was held under the theme Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality.
And we have more business stories for you on myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching. The news continues after this break.
Now, the labor which characterized the pounding of fufu was done away long ago. Now, the fufu pounding machine has been made a widely consumed delicacy, easy to prepare. But how have Ghanaian engineers shaped up the technology of machine to meet modern demand? In the Ghana Month edition of Tech Thursday, Law FM's Kwesi Deborah looks at the evolution of the fufu pounding machine.
The classic sound in many Ghanaian homes, loved by elders and children, but particularly kakufunos to young men. With tens of hits to achieve a soft swallow, food pounding is laborious, not to talk about the cones that mark the palms. But with the wide commercialization of the delicacy and advent of pacing lifestyle, a fast fufu became crucial. Ghanaian engineers in 2004 came up with a fufu pounding machine. First by Charles Fajinom, and later KNUST researchers. Because the engineers wanted to make the machine culturally acceptable, the shaft which turns the fufu was made from wood. However, the wooden shaft's vulnerability made it unsustainable.
So be a wolf for a wadro no afa warmer. Until machine by no name say the anime safety and in a bit to me a far bunch on the body and 10. Until no more you should do about you should do say the animudi na a trafa machine who are at the anini to me and content.
This is what happened. The shaft, carved from cedar wood, couldn't withstand the moisture in the food over time. This resulted in the breaking down of the wooden shaft, causing some of the wood pieces to find their way into the fufu. Again, the threaded hole wore off easily, making rotation impossible. The developers then thought of a permanent solution: an old metal. Now, the engineers at Swam Magazine have resorted to aluminium.
The shaft alumi. The use aluminium man. The use aluminium man. No problem here.
Apart from the shaft, the frame has also been reviewed. This is an old frame of the 50-pounding machine, made entirely from 20 feet of angle iron. And here is a new frame of the 50-pounding machine, made from 16 feet of angle iron. This is bigger and heavy, and that is smaller and portable.
That's how we wrap up today's edition of News Desk. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Do enjoy the rest of our programs here on the channel.